but nope, that's not the right way to start it either. All right, Editor Luke, cutting all of that. That was all garbage, so here we go. Hello and welcome. This is the Homemade Edition, and today we're going to be looking at 3 of the best bourbon cocktails you can make. If you saw my recent video about my top 3 whiskey cocktails, you know that I deferred using bourbon in that video so that I could have one video dedicated to bourbon cocktails all on its own. After thinking about it a little bit, I think there's more than 3 cocktails that I want to show you guys. However, I don't want to do more than 3 in one video. So this is going to be a 2-parter. Today we're going to do a little bit more traditional, say easy cocktails, and then next episode is going to be a little bit weirder. You know, don't let that turn you off though. It's going to be good. So we're going to start with a classic. We're going to start with the old fashioned. Now for a bourbon old fashioned, I like to use maple syrup, and I actually have some special maple syrup here, bourbon barrel aged maple syrup. Got a little gift from my wife on this one. So let's start with some Angostura bitters. I'm going to go with 2 dashes right in the glass. Now, if you look at most maple syrup old-fashioned recipes, they'll call for about 1/4 ounce of maple syrup. Depending upon the bourbon that you're using, you might want a little bit more or a little bit less. So I have a hack for you. Instead of using your jigger, you can use your bar spoon. This jigger is 1 ounce on this side, and we want 1/4 of that. But a lot of the maple syrup is going to stay inside the bell of my jigger because it's really viscous, right? So 3 bar spoons is equal to 1/4 ounce. If you want to do the math yourself, 1 ounce is equal to 12 of these because this is a half teaspoon. 1 ounce is 6 teaspoons, therefore it's 12 of these. So 1/4 ounce would be 3 of these. If you have a little bit of a sweeter bourbon, maybe do 2 bar spoons. And then instead of sort of guessing on how much you're getting in your jigger, you can know a lot more accurately. And then since you're gonna stir with the spoon anyways, you're not wasting any maple syrup. So I'm actually gonna go with 2 bar spoons here. And then we need 2 ounces of bourbon. Today I'm going with one of my favorites. This is the Elijah Craig's Small Batch. Stir it down over a nice big rock of ice, and today I do actually have clear ice. You can't do that if you're working professionally, but this is my bar, so I do what I want. And then last but not least, we need an orange twist. Get a little spritz over the drink. And then we're gonna see if we can do a little bit of a fancy garnish cut on this. And there we have a bourbon old fashioned. Let's give this a taste. Wow. You get the interplay of that sort of Christmassy Angostura with that rich maple syrup flavor and the orange, and underneath all of that, that incredible bourbon flavor. So the next cocktail I'm gonna do is a whiskey sour called Gold Rush, and it's flavored with lemon and honey. So let's get into it. So we're gonna start with our shaker tin. We'll take the small tin and put it in front of us, and we need 3/4 of an ounce of honey syrup. This is 3 parts honey, 1 part hot water. Mix it up, good to go. 3/4 of an ounce. Set that aside. And then we need 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. Now, some people might disagree with me, but I think it's always worth it to use fresh citrus. If you don't like sours but have never tried it with fresh citrus, that might be the key. Okay, and then we need 2 ounces of bourbon. Now, I like using an overproof bourbon for a sour, and this one is my absolute favorite. This is the Evan Williams Bottled in Bond. It's 100 proof bourbon, pretty cheap, and seriously, I think it's probably the best mixing bourbon for most cocktail applications. So we need 2 ounces of it. And then we're gonna add some ice to our tin. So I've got some nice big chunks of clear ice here. We're gonna take a big piece and break it up into the tin. And then add 1 big chunk to mix everything up well. Add the small tin to the big tin, lock it, give it a good shake. And we'll let that sit for a second while we prep our glass. And strain it into the glass. Now, this doesn't require any garnish. It's ready to go as it is, so let's give it a taste. Oh, it's fresh and delicious. What you notice right away is, first of all, the sweetness of the honey and the sweetness of the bourbon. That bourbon's fairly sweet, playing off of the lemon, and there's like all 3 of them are dancing around trying to tell you which one you should pay attention to, and as soon as one comes up, another one sort of pushes it out of the way. It's complicated. You can definitely taste the oakiness through the honey and through the lemon juice. This one is so refreshing, especially on a hot day, but it's well-rounded enough and rich enough in flavor that it's a really good cold weather sour as well. I would highly recommend the Gold Rush. All right, our final entry for today is actually one you may not have heard of before. It's called a strawberry fix. Now, a fix is a cocktail involving some sort of fresh fruit and served over crushed ice, but basically it's a Gold Rush with strawberries. Now, that might seem like it's, almost the same cocktail, and it does have the same base, but it is a fantastic variation and definitely does not at all equal the same drink. So we're just gonna start by building the base of the cocktail, and then I'll show you how we add the strawberries. So first up, we want our honey syrup again, same amount, 3/4 of an ounce. Grab another lemon, and again, 3/4 of an ounce of fresh lemon juice. And then 2 ounces of bourbon. Again, I'm gonna go with the Evan Williams Bottled in Bond. Okay, now we're actually gonna set this aside for a second, and we're going to prep our glass. Now, typically it would be served in an old-fashioned glass, but I like using a Collins glass because it gives a pretty cool presentation that way. So what we're gonna do is we'll set the glass here. We're gonna grab a couple of strawberries, and we want to take off the top and then core them. After that, you're gonna take and cut them in quarters and drop them into the glass. Then we're gonna take a muddler, and this is important, you gotta be careful. If you smash them into a pulp, you are going to get little bits that are gonna clog your straw. And so what we wanna do is turn them into a jam, so to speak, without actually pulverizing them. So we're going to very gently just push on them to get the juice to come out. All right, now that we've got our glass prepped, we're gonna go ahead and set it aside, and we're gonna make some crushed ice. Now, most people would use a Lewis bag, which is a sort of special cloth bag for crushing ice, and then a wooden mallet. Well, I don't have that, but I have a silicone bag that's supposed to be for cooking things sous vide, and it doesn't work. Not to say that none of them work, but these ones are junk. But they work really well for crushing ice and pounding out meat, coincidentally. So like, you want no mess pounded out chicken? Like, this is awesome. So we're gonna stick a few pieces of ice into the bag. Pretty close to good. And then we're gonna pulverize this. Now we're going to shake up our cocktail and add it all to the glass. A little pro tip, if you're making cocktails back to back and you're using really high quality ice, you're gonna have plenty of good ice left over in your tin. So if you're making a whiskey sour and then a variation on a whiskey sour, you don't need to throw that ice out. You can just strain it out with your Hawthorne strainer, get rid of any excess water, and you are good to go. Maybe you might have to add a little bit of ice, but you definitely don't need to chuck the old ice. Perfect. We might need a little bit more as it all settles together. Let's give this a shot. Perfect. Then we can add a straw. Ooh, and I almost forgot, you can use a strawberry as a garnish. Tuck it. Just like that. There you go, that's your strawberry fix. Let's give it a taste and see how it is. Wow, this is probably the most refreshing whiskey cocktail you can make. The strawberry added to a whiskey sour is just phenomenal. And it's a great hot weather drink as well because of the crushed ice. If you shake it up well, your cocktail can actually be colder than freezing. And then the crushed ice actually keeps it from diluting because you're taking a sub-freezing cocktail and putting it over really hard ice. Even though it's pulverized, there's not much in the way of air pockets. This is really high quality ice I make at home. You know, it's not gonna get all watered down very quickly at all. This is a fantastic cocktail and really a show-stopping cocktail for your guests. You just take 2 extra steps to a whiskey cocktail and you get something that is just stunning looking visually. Oh man. So there you go. Those are my top 3 bourbon cocktails: the old fashioned, the whiskey sour, the strawberry fix. Until next time, guys, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, check out Patreon, all that business. If you liked the video, smack that button. Remember, likes are free and they help other people see my content. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you guys have original recipes you want me to try, go ahead and share those down below, or you can send them to me on Patreon by becoming a patron. Becoming a patron, not a Patreon. You're a patron if you subscribe to me on Patreon. You're not a patron. That's the site. But anyway, guys, my name is Luke, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.